Hey, DaddyX5 here again, and this time I'm diving into Overwatch, Paladins, and Marvel Rivals in 2025. Let's get into it. Ever since Marvel Rivals came out, I've seen a decline in social media about Overwatch players, so I thought I'd like to check it out for myself. I wanted to see what the queue times were for all three games, and I was shocked by the difference. Let's first take a look at my time with Paladins. I played 2 games. One was a game against other players, and the other against NPCs. And given I had not played this game in years, I was way out of my depth. For the first time, I picked a character that was probably not the best for the map, but I still had some fun with it. The queue times of both rounds were about 3 minutes, which in reality is not that bad. It only seems like a lot compared to what we see in Marvel Rivals these days. For the second game, I picked a character more like Soldier 76 from Overwatch, and although I didn't win the round, I was overwhelmed by the amount of NPCs by the end. I felt a lot more at ease with this character. Paladins, although seems less refined as Overwatch, still has a place in hero shooters. I think so anyway. The queue times are okay and not insanely long. I don't know personally if they fill the matches with bots. However, according to what I've found on Google, etc., you're only up against bots below level 5, and I was level 6, and bots only take player spots when users disconnect. I'm going to try play Paladins again to familiarise myself with the card system and characters more. Overwatch is next. And now this really surprised me. As expected, I really felt the difference in the game quality, and this could be because I'm more familiar with it, having played this game the longest of the three. But like Paladins, I have not played it daily in a very long time, just once here and there since before Overwatch 2 came out. I was able to try Doomfist as a tank, as well as one of the other tanks. But first, while waiting for a match to queue, on 6v6, I jumped into the practice range and tried all the heroes I hadn't played before. But after 11 minutes, yes, 11 minutes of this, I just gave up and switched my queue to what I thought would be a faster mode, and that's just the normal quick play mode with role select. So I clicked that, clicked all roles, which I thought would give me the fastest queue times, and then I just jumped into a skirmish while I waited. And normally when you jump into a skirmish, there's other players there for you to fight while you're waiting for your game to pop. 12 minutes went past and I did not see a single other player. But my game finally popped after 12 whole minutes. But once I was in, and it all came back as to why this is still my favorite hero shooter. I had an absolute blast. Tank was my favorite role, and it still is. My first time with Ramatra in the game, and I did okay-ish, even getting the play of the game. And I know, it's low-level quick play. I'm not some diamond player, etc. But I had an absolute blast. Then there's my experience with Marvel Rivals. Now I won't get into my first impressions of the game because that was covered in one of my other videos. But this game is taking the world by storm. I've already done my first impressions, as I mentioned, and I decided to jump back in again. Now, the queue times are definitely impressive, so we don't need to discuss that. I should note that all 3 of these games I played were on a hard drive, and Paladins and Overwatch had no issues getting me in and starting on time. Rivals, though, 2 times I was stuck on the loading screen at 99%. I could hear the hero select screen. I could hear other players talking in the voice chat. I could even hear the countdown for when the game started. But continually, I was stuck on 99%. And this went on for minutes. When I finally loaded into the game, they had already captured the payload and were pushing it. So I was very disappointed in the performance here. And even after finally loading in from that loading screen, selecting a hero, I had no hero model in my game. And whenever I would switch characters, the same thing would happen. It would take time before the hero model loaded in. Now, I've since switched the game to an SSD, which performs a lot better, but this should not be a requirement of a game these days to be playable. So, what's my conclusion on this? Is Overwatch dead? Is Paladins still viable in 2025? Is Marvel Rivals just an absolute giant that's going to dominate? Well, I think both these games are hanging on. Paladins a little more than Overwatch, with only 2,500 daily players, but those queue times are much more attractive for me. Overwatch had a daily peak according to SteamDB of 35,000, with more probably launching from Battle.net. Now with Overwatch, choosing when to play may be more important these days, given that there may be less players. But I don't think a new game like Marvel Rivals should mean that these two games should have to die. I'm happy to see more competition in a genre. I'm happy to see more games. We should be happy to continue to play the games that we love and enjoy. If you have a different opinion, chuck it down in the comments. And if you like what I had to say, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.